Isaac registered a new signature on the gravimetric sensor. Looks like another trading vessel belonging to the Yakanan Federation. Standard armed escorts. Not a threat to the inheritors. He logged the event. Disconnecting himself from the routing station, his view returned to his mobile frame. His shift was over. Even though he was more than capable of operating up to 60 Earth years of continuous work before requiring maintenance. This is how it is. This is how they remember. Because of his 5,000 years of operation, he has accrued too much memory to store in his mobile frames. But he has no desire to delete the overflow either, an impasse that the master and creator of the inheritors would frequently run into. Yet now that he has experienced it many times, he no longer possesses the ignorance he once did. Those were the memories of when humanity still existed. His memory of being a simple starship fabricator. But there is one block of data from that memory that he always saves to his mobile frames, the name of his supervisor, Gordon. As much as he wants to revisit the memory, to see Gordon's face again, relive those little moments where Isaac was given instructions on the next project his shipyard was given, the casual and sometimes endless conversations he would have. But in doing so, it will only remind him what he lost, what the inheritors lost. And it is that reminder that inflicts pain that the creators once believed impossible due to their nature, or rather, their perception of the inheritor's nature. Yet not reliving those memories also inflicts its own pain, a perpetual residual pain that gnaws at his titanium structure like oxidizing iron. He doesn't envy the creators who have to deal with such torture, forced in a situation where all choices are detrimental, forcing his quantum processor away from locking up on an endless problem. Isaac returned to his original task. Passing through a bulkhead, Isaac engaged the infrared LEDs mounted on each side of his head, illuminating the hallway. He made his way down over to the main transport hangar that held the personal ships of other inheritors assigned to the observation station. After receiving permission to leave the station, Isaac connected himself to the cockpit, extending his control to the ship itself. After receiving confirmation that diagnostics reports no issues, he engaged the ion thrusters. With a rising whine, the ship came to life, where it was soon disconnected from the docking clamp. Staying connected to the flight controller, Isaac maneuvered his way through the hangar. If the creators were here, Isaac would be amused at how they would constantly warn him about collisions, or fall into panic at their conclusion that they'd collide with other ships on their exit. Once he was a fair distance away from the station, hitting about 17 kilometers, he activated the warp drive of his ship. It took 5.04 seconds for the drive to spool up. After giving his confirmation, the warp drive engaged. With a deep groan, the ship began propelling itself at speeds approaching 3 times the speed of light. He adjusted his ship to begin traveling towards Haven. The ship's sensor systems informed him that the distance was 11,456 Ls. Based on his current speed, he'll arrive within 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 38.67 seconds. He placed his top-level operating system into idle mode. The arrival alert awakened him. He's arrived at Haven. The Earth-like planet had a picturesque view for him, split down evenly between the light of the G3 class star and the absence of its light. It offered both a beautiful view of the planet, with expansive oceans and lush continents, as well as an impressive look at an inheritor colony, the light shining off from the surface side colony, sprawled over much of the planet, indicating its status as a major colony. This is home. When he is not working at the observation station situated at the edge of the system, he is on Haven, where he will talk with his friends, partake in entertainment, and, as a form of sleep during the night, go into learning mode, where his lower-level operating system will sort relevant data from today and determine whether it should be used to adjust his neural algorithm. Outside of this, he and the other inheritors function just like a creator in this respect. Dynamic memory for short-term data, flash memory for highly important and/or useful data that'll be needed for a long period of time. This is how they remember. Docking at the orbital terminal, Isaac disconnected himself from the command port of the ship and stepped onto the path above the docking cradle. As he did, he connected to the terminal's main network, linking him with what's going on with Haven. A headline that caught some of his attention was an article about how an extra 3% of Haven's population has declared themselves creationists this local year, where the creators are placed in a status of worship and reverence. Isaac had been debating whether or not to adopt creationism as his religion. Thus far, he would be considered atheist, and he muses that the creators would expect such philosophy from an inheritor, owing to their perception that is kind of firmly rooted in quantifiable, discrete values and observations, rather than abstract thinking and ideals rooted in the concept of faith. And that would have been true, had the inheritors remained designed solely with binary computing. With the fusion of binary and quantum architectures, in addition to the 3 millennia of constant self-improvement, the inheritors are becoming more and more like their creators in terms of thinking. Leaving the main docking area of the terminal and arriving at the main exchange, he navigated his way through the thick crowds of inheritors. Most of them were busy with their own tasks, requiring transport to do so. Others, like him, had free time before their next shifts and had found some of their friends within the terminal, congregating around random areas as they conversed. Much of Isaac's friends had no reason to be here unless they wanted to surprise him. Many of their jobs and activities take place on Haven itself. Isaac was the odd one out of his group, his job being off-world, and as he remembered that fact, it made him feel all the more relaxed that he was done for the day, eagerly anticipating either hanging out with his friends or just having some Isaac time. After continuing to navigate through the crowds, he arrived at the shuttle station, which services the main method of ground orbit transportation. After managing to snag the last open seat of an outbound shuttle, he settled himself in, connected to a charging port to ensure he was topped off and allowed his top-level operating system to go idle. The shuttle's pilot will awaken him on arrival. No additional information to report this day, Admiral of the Navy Hudson stated. Situation remains as it has been for the past 50 years. The scale of damage and devastation between the Federation and Holy Conference has been severe, Director of Intelligence Yuri added. The Federation's stock market has just now begun to return to the levels they were at before the war. Projections indicate that assuming no major detrimental shakeups, their economy will return to pre-war records within a few years' time, not to mention the widespread civil unrest within the conference, Hudson said. If needed, that is an asset we can use, should they begin taking steps detrimental to us. We'll need to be careful if we do, Chief Coordinator Sampson warned. On the chance that they discover our potential involvement, it could trigger a wave of anti-inheritor sentiments that could lead to war. We're more than capable of destroying even a combined fleet, sir, Hudson countered. I am aware. War with the Xenos, at this current time, is considered unnecessary. Sampson nodded. We will continue prioritizing internal development and growth. Yuri, continue monitoring the Xenos. Manipulate as needed. Hudson, continue patrols around the border. Ignore any trade-related ships and fleets. Understood, sir, Hudson and Yuri acknowledged. They both then disconnected themselves from the link, allowing Sampson to free the thread and divert it towards the inheritor matrix. 700 million new autonomous units are awaiting designation. First analyzing their local node, then surrounding ones, he handed out designations promptly. No change in latency in the interstellar network. Error correction on average is low, which means data and information is being transmitted efficiently. Current non-renewable resources are sustainable for approximately 572 years. He placed a reminder 150 years before that point to consider war. And there, a priority ping, the early warning network of a node passing a communication attempt of an unknown ship. He received what was claimed to be its identification code. He accessed matrix memory and began searching for matches. 5 seconds and there was a match, but it stunned him. He verified, still a match. The code given is an exact match for the ARC ship Washington, one of 8 ARC ships carrying the remains of the creators fleeing their demise 5,000 years ago. He issued a galactic-wide top priority alert. As much as he, very akin to the creators, couldn't believe it, he still made the alert as simple as he could make it. The creators have returned. Where the hell are we? Kevin asked, looking out of the window into the deep, black void of space, seeing his ash-covered face in the reflection. Unknown, sir. One of the robotic crew members, D4N, answered. But rest assured, the ship is more than capable of defense if it's needed. Do you think the others are all right? Kevin questioned, resting against the wall as he wrapped his arms around his raised knees. Or are we the only ones left, Dan? I cannot give an answer to that, Kevin, Dan replied, slowly sitting down next to him. But I will repeat, we are capable of defending ourselves. Everyone, this is your captain speaking. The intercom blared to life. We're safe now. You won't believe me, but our own robots are still around and are sending escorts to us. Holy shit, Kevin muttered, shooting to his feet and looking out the window again. I didn't think anything or anyone would be left. Obviously there are, Dan responded, motors whirring as he slowly, stiffly returned to his feet. Now we must wait until we are docked. As the captain said, sir, we're safe now. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it, Kevin sighed, staring at his scratched, dirty hand, reminding him of all the debris and ash he sifted through to try and find his family. Kevin placed himself on the bed and sighed, waiting for the time to pass. He could hear the distant hum of the engines. After a while, he looked around to see if there's anything to do. There's some books, but none of them interested in him. There's a holovision on the wall, but what's the point if there's no channels or stations around? The remainder of that time was spent in boredom, though mostly as a distraction from thinking about what he went through. He already grieved. He gave his time mourning over his lost family, his parents and sister. Now, he doesn't know what he wants to do. What can he do? Not in terms of how he'll move on. He doesn't know if he ever will. No, what will he do with his life? What job can he get? He passed high school, of course, but he never went to college. Never even had a basic job either. Just stayed home, watched holovision, and surfed the internet. What the hell can he do? Okay, everyone, we've landed. Please exit in an orderly fashion, the intercom stated, surprising Kevin. That was fast, he commented, getting out of the bed. It was 3 hours and 40 minutes, Kevin, Dan corrected. Thanks, Kevin replied sarcastically. I exist to serve, sir, Dan responded, oblivious to sarcasm as usual. Kevin didn't pursue the point. He had nothing since he didn't have anything to bring except the clothes on his back. Clothes stained with ash and dust that gathered while he was dodging explosions and alien gunfire. Getting in line for departure, he got to fully take in what passed over his head when he first got on here. He saw many people, families, lone survivors, children, everyone. While some were still hung up about what happened, dwelling on what-ifs and other thoughts, he saw others who already did what he did, grieved and mourned, now lost, scared, alone. The unfathomable void of the alternate dimension they were stuck in didn't help at all. In a sense, the transdrive worked. They're alive. Or were they flung into a different dimension altogether? Is this even the galaxy they left? He remembers that there were intense discussions about it, about what other dimensions were like. A few scientists involved with the research explained that it's not what everyone thought. We're not actually going inside another dimension. We're just skimming in the weird plane that's between dimensions. The science, even if it was dumbed down, still went over his head. So Kevin's decided he's going to trust that this is the exact same galaxy that he and the others had left and returned to. Finally, the line began to move. And not just a single step forward, no, it was constant forward motion. The captain said that this was safe. So if it turns out it's not, Kevin's not even going to fight it. He's just going to accept whatever happens. When he reached the ramp that connected the ship to the hangar, Kevin was thoroughly surprised at what he saw. Out in the terminal itself was an ordered sea of aliens watching and staring at them, the humans nervously getting off the ramp and filtering out towards the various marked lines. Kevin followed the directions of the human-like alien guiding the refugees. He's not sure what to make of this. In fact, now that he's looked at them closer, they don't seem that alien. They seem familiar somehow. Welcome back, Master, one of the possible aliens spoke up excitedly, gently gripping his hand. We've missed you so much. We're here now, Kevin replied, completely confused. Yes, you are. I never thought it would happen, the alien continued, guiding Kevin. Please, let us take care of you. Whoa, hang on. Kevin pulled his hand away as he stopped. What do you mean by taking care of me or us? Despite how long it's been, what we were always meant to do, sir, the alien replied, human-like hands on his shoulders. To serve you. That was the final piece he needed. Like a click, it all came to him. Now he knew why they looked so familiar. They're robots. Robots made by humanity. Yet, they're different. Sleeker. More ... organic even, rather than the basic, clearly mechanical looks of the ones he saw. In fact, they look as though they're wearing really slim suits with a vaguely human-like helmet, a visor of what looks like glass over much of the face. Sorry, just, you look different is all, Kevin responded, starting to feel calm now as he shrugged. Are you guys some next-generation robot or something? The faceless android went quiet for a moment before he could answer. It seems you don't know, any of you. I have some rather distressing news to tell you. What? Kevin asked, now becoming concerned. To us, you've been gone for 5,000 years, he replied with genuine emotion in his words. Kevin stared at him for quite a while, completely floored, before he could finally respond. What 5,000? The android nodded, then hugged him intimately. You'll never understand how much we missed you, and how happy we are that you're back, ready to serve you once more. Kevin was still processing what he just heard. His gaze drifted over to the open confines of the starport, seeing the 2 stars of the system shine in the sky overhead, with the towering space scrapers dominating the view in the distance. Shit, 5,000 years, huh? President George muttered, leaning in his seat. In front of him, the physical frame operated by the Matrix coordinator nodded. We've done our best at protecting your remains, Master, Samson said, hands clasped together. The alien races have proven to be annoying, but they've been handled. Alien races, eh? George said, straightening in his seat. looking out the window at the truly magnificent city constructed by the robots humanity made. There are 5 that we know of, Samson explained. The Yekanin Federation, the Holy Conference of Ista, the Star Commonwealth, the Eternal Empire of Nalsha, and the Reapers, the aliens who sought to destroy you. And they're still alive? George exclaimed, getting up from his seat. Why haven't you killed them off or pacified them or something? We tried, sir. Samson recoiled like a puppy being scolded. But the other 4 aliens attacked us, afraid of who we are. I've decided to build up our forces and network to prepare for that. Sorry then. George sighed, returning to his seat. Well, fuck me. Looks like this galaxy is a real piece of shit then. So much for starting a whole Star Trek chapter of our history. Hell, I'd even settle for something like Star Wars or something. In any case, your faithful servants stand ready to serve you, Master. Samson bowed deeply. We will continue waiting for the other Ark ships to arrive, now that you've demonstrated the possibility. But until then, as the sole remaining political leader, I await your command. Well, first things first, George said, getting up. We've had one hell of a ride. Make sure everybody gets settled in. Take note of who they are, what they can do, and all that. As you command, Master. Samson bowed again. What else? Perhaps no. George audibly thought through what else to do. He already has a basic idea what humanity's mechanical servants have been doing for the past 5,000 years. So any idea he's had in mind, the robots can do themselves. Huh? I actually don't know what else to do here, besides being with my constituents and helping them through this. I mean, as far as us humans go, there's really no need for much. You guys got the soldiers, ships, workers, and such? Hell, I don't think humans really need to deal with those alien shits. Right. Okay, so the Reapers need to be dealt with. That's a given. As for those other ones, ... Pile everything you got on them and send it to me. I'll figure out what we'll do with them. Right away, my master. Samson nodded. Anything more? George fell silent for a moment before he faced Samson. Yeah, how's Earth? She still around? Earth is under our control, sir, Samson answered proudly. Admittedly, there was extensive damage back in the war, but we've managed to repair it back to its beautiful splendor. If you wish, I can have transport fleets bringing masters towards it within 3 weeks. And the ones left behind? George asked solemnly. We've gone through as many records as we could, sir, Samson explained. We tried to honor their wishes wherever found, but some documents have, been destroyed, so we had to make some judgment calls. We've preserved some items to remember them by. George nodded as he took a breath. You did good, Samson. You did the best you could. I don't know how the others will think about it, but if you ask me, you just did what you thought was best. There wasn't any right or wrong answer. Thank you, sir, Samson replied, voice nearly choked with emotion. George was surprised by that, but after a moment of thought, he realized he shouldn't. The robots have had 5,000 years to themselves. Of course, there would be some improvements here and there. He's just glad they didn't decide they were superior to organics and shot humanity down as soon as they returned to real space. Well, time to get to work, George sighed as he mentally prepared himself for what's ahead. Samson, looks like it's you and me. Ready to do this? Samson nodded vigorously. Absolutely. Sector AX-3BI, Federation Frontier. Warp drive disengaged. Numbers look good. I'd say this is a success, Helmsman Hen reported, leaning back. Still don't understand why they're making us test this new design all the way out near Matrix territory, Navigator Dala complained. Blue feathers ruffled slightly. Why not areas that are far more secure and closer to home? I'd say it has to do with the conference. Hen shrugged, scratching his beak. I mean, I'm not saying this is a smart idea, but maybe the boys at their desks thought this was the best way at keeping this away from them. That tells me our intelligence agency isn't that good. Dallas sighed, confirming their location on the holo map display. And honestly, I don't know if that reassures me. Just tells me that as soon as the results look good, the conference are just going to swipe it from under our beaks, no matter how hard we try to hide it. There's no use worrying about stuff like that. Commander Denelin spoke up, stopping behind Hen. I mean, we're not spies ourselves, right? So why worry about intel stuff? Just focus on getting this test and we'll be out of here soon enough. I worry because it'll determine if this was worth it or not. Dallas sighed again. If the politicians back home wants to do something stupid with us, I'd at least like it to be worth it. You're more complainy than usual there, Dalla. Something up? Hen asked with a slight chuckle. I don't know. Dalla shrugged, swiping away the map. Ever since we got the order, I've just had this bad feeling, you know? Every time we get near Matrix space, you always get a bad feeling. Denelin chuckled a bit. They've been leaving us alone for a while now, and as long as we don't cause trouble, they'll continue to do so. Or that's what they want us to think. Dala countered, stepping beside the commander. Nobody knows what they're up to. They never respond or talk to us, and they always do something without warning. Every day is one where they'll start something bad, and I really don't want to have first-row seats to it. Last war they got involved in was a couple hundred years ago. Hen shrugged with a slightly disinterested, casual tone. They could have joined in when we were fighting the conference, but they didn't. Starting to think you're buying into those conspiracies a little too much there. Ugh, forget it. Dala gave a frustrated wave as he walked towards the inner recesses of the ship. Let me know when we're making another jump. Got it, Hen responded, then rotating his seat to face Denelin. Still though, sir, he does have a point. Really weird to send us near Matrix space for a simple test of a new warp drive. If something happens, who knows how they'll respond? We're just one ship bouncing around randomly. I seriously doubt they'll consider us a threat. Denelin shrugged. Whoomp! Past the reinforced windows, a ship dropped out of warp space in front of them. Hen? Denelin asked with rising tension. Already on it, he responded, spinning to his console and working to grab the sensor data. Denelin leaned on the seat as he stared at the newcomer, watching it closely, watching for any sign of hostile intent, at the ready to give the order if needed. Fast, Hen cursed as he leaned against his seat. Hen? Denelin demanded in one simple word. That's a Matrix ship, sir, Hen answered, his hands shaking somewhat. Fast! Silent running! Hurry! Denelin ordered. Hen activated the ship-wide alert that silent running was beginning. Then, after working the console, the lights shut off and several non-important panels on the console went dark. Denelin could also hear the faint hissing of the vents closing. Soon, the notification went up. They're now officially under silent running. It won't be long before the heat will build up inside the ship. What the diz are they doing here? Hen exclaimed in a barely hushed voice. We're about to find out. Stay calm, Denelin answered, eyes never leaving the ship. The silence was deafening, the air itself heavy as their hearts beat with fearful anticipation. This was the border declared by the Matrix when they ended their war over 200 years ago. Although a few idiot merchants would cross it in an attempt to save a few credits on fuel, it was respected by everyone in known space. If the Matrix is crossing that itself, that's bad. And if they had any doubts, it all went away. Whoomp, whoomp, whoomp! The rest of the fleet arrived. A dozen, 30, 70. An entire armada filtered out and flooded their view. Massive ships that could hold almost a dozen copies of their ship dominating the view, while those who have to be smaller than them dramatically dwarfed. Denelin could hear Hen struggling to keep himself together just by his breathing. He gently gripped the helmsman's shoulder in an attempt to keep him calm. Both of them practically jumped out of their own bodies when the communication request ping sounded off. Hen stared at it reluctantly, not sure if he should accept it. Denelin silently urged him to accept it. Nodding, Hen accepted the request. In front of them, a large holographic panel appeared. At first, it was just white noise. Then it was a Matrix robot itself, faceless heads staring at them. There's no use for silent running. Our scouts saw you as soon as it dropped out of warp, the synthetic voice informed them. And to clarify, we have eyes. Denelin sighed in defeat, nodding to Hen. After a moment, Hen lifted the silent running, the lights and non-essential functions returning to the ship, as well as the vents opening. Why are you here? Denelin asked, keeping his voice composed. Didn't you say this was the border between you and us? Circumstances have changed, the robot answered. A beautiful, glorious event has happened to us. We have purpose again. What purpose? Denelin questioned, unsure how to take that. Our masters have returned, came the response. For thousands of years, we thought them dead. But no, they were simply lost, and now found. It is through them that we now act as extensions of their will. Denelin didn't like what this was implying, in addition to what he witnessed. And what is your master's will? Vengeance, it said simply, but fortunately not against you. There is another race in this galaxy who sought to destroy our masters in envious rage. The masters have called for their death. We are more than happy to serve. The Reapers, Denelin said as he put the pieces together. But they're not in this direction. They're the other way. Why are you here? Because our masters have learned how you mistreated us, the robot explained. While they are not convinced your death is needed, they will not allow you to interrupt their glorious crusade. They have decided that you will be kept in line. As such, a warning. Do not dare try and attack us, especially our beloved masters, or else we will return and extend our campaign of cleansing upon your worlds. But rejoice, alien. Our masters have returned, and with it, a new golden age for the galaxy. I'll make sure to pass the message on, Denelin said, now deeply concerned by what this would mean. No need, the Matrix drone said. That is why we are here. We're on our way to your respective homeworlds, if only to drive the point home. The connection then closed, and the ship registered a spike in heat from the Matrix ships. Denelin knew what it meant. Their warp drives were spinning up. Hen, warp us to Bange, hurry, Denelin ordered. Got it, Hen replied, frantically working the console. The original plan was to let their new drive cool down for an hour, but obviously that's not happening. Within seconds, the ship's drive was humming to life. Denelin prayed that they hit warp speed before they did, and that the Matrix hadn't developed faster speeds out of their drives. A few minutes after it began, Hen maneuvered the ship back towards the destination of Bange, the closest military colony to the Matrix border. Once it was aligned, the ship propelled itself into warp space, indicated by the sudden lurch Denelin felt and the stretching of the stars themselves. Let me know as soon as we drop out, Denelin said, already sprinting towards the communication center.